And we're going to start with a little bit of preparation just to ensure that this is a completely smooth process and it minimizes kind of any potential issues you may come across. Now, when you first set up online payslips for your employee, an employee profile will be created in Sage HR using the details from their payroll record. And specifically, information from their record that is sent to Sage HR to create their profile includes their first name and surname, their address, the employee's start date, telephone and mobile numbers, as well as their date of birth. So we would recommend that you review your payroll data to ensure that these details are all accurate and up to date. And I'd like to draw particular attention to the start date, as this is not a mandatory field in Sage Payroll, but it is mandatory in HR. So if you have not entered an employment start date in Payroll, when you set up an employee for online payslips, HR will use the current date as their employment start date. So that would need to be updated at a later date for that to be accurate. So we would suggest that you work through reviewing your employee data, doing a bit of a data cleanse as part of your preparation for setting up online services. We've got some tips on the best ways you can check that information in the guide that I've linked to. Now, if you're happy with the employee details in Payroll, there are a few things you will need to complete the setup. So I'm just going to work through this checklist with you now. So first of all, you need to have installed the latest update to Sage Payroll. That's version 28.1. Now, if you haven't done that already, you can click Help and then check for updates within Sage Payroll to download the automatic update. Or you can download it from our install guide, which I've linked to at the bottom of this slide. You also need to have a payroll subscription license. So if you are still on one of our annual support contracts, rather than a payroll subscription, you will see a message when you come to set up online payslips that will tell you that it's not available with your license. But don't worry, it is easy to switch over to a payroll subscription, even if you're in the middle of an annual contract, and you would get credit for the unused portion of that previous support contract. And we will give you a way of requesting a callback from our team if that's something that you're keen to go ahead with sooner rather than later. You're also going to need to know your payroll admin user login details. Now, the default password for the admin user is pass, but if you have logged in as an admin recently, you will have been prompted to change that password to something else. So that will be required as part of the setup process, so make sure you know what that is. You'll need an email address for each employee who will be using online payslips, and that must be unique to them. If you've already recorded email addresses in the employee records, that same email address will be copied to the online services section, but it can be amended before you set your employee up if you want to use a different email address for them. And you're going to need a Sage account, that's an email address and a password, to become your owner and administrator profile in Sage HR. Now, it's important to note that this must not be an employee email address. It needs to be separate to any employee email addresses. And this will become the owner administrator account, which has full access to all of the settings in Sage HR and will be able to view all payslips for everyone in the payroll. Now, that Sage account will be used across all of your payrolls if you have more than one setup within Sage Payroll. And we do suggest a generic style email address, such as payroll@company.com, HR@company.com, as opposed to an individual employee's email address. And for that admin user, you will also need to set up two-factor authentication. So that would involve either setting up an authenticator app on a mobile device or providing a phone number to receive a code to. So that'll be a text code or a phone call. And we've got loads of information on two-factor authentication available on our help center.